This chapter of Gospel of Ramakrishna titled At Ram's House. Ram or Ramchandra Datta is a very close household disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He had unflinching faith in the Master, and his love and devotion for Sri Ramakrishna was exuberant. Faith and devotion are the two important milestones on the path towards God, which we see in the guidepost of Ramachandra Datta. He used to say that any place Sri Ramakrishna visited, even for a day, becomes a holy place, and that whoever came to the Master and served him once was blessed. Ramchandra Datta and Narendra, later Swami Vivekananda, were cousins. It was Ram who urged Narendra to visit Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna talks about the bhakti and company of holy person. When seed of bhakti is sown, the effect is inevitable. Our attitude and approach to day-to-day life changes, like the food becomes prasad, the hunger becomes fast, the water becomes sacred water, our travel becomes pilgrimage, and music we listen becomes a devotional singing or kirtan, and our actions become seva or service. Thus, when devotee enters a man, he becomes a devotee. How is bhakti seed sown? It happens only when we associate with the company of a holy person and listen to spiritual talks. In Ram's life, we can see this. When he doubted the very existence of God, Sri Ramakrishna replied, "Faith alone is the key to success." Gradually, Ram began to have a taste of divine bliss because of his holy association with the Master, and worldly pleasures became more and more insipid to him. It is noteworthy to mention that after Sri Ramakrishna passing away, Ram was the first person to publish a biography of Sri Ramakrishna. He preached publicly that Sri Ramakrishna was an incarnation. He built a temple for the Master and worshipped his relics, now known as Kampurachi Yoga Dhyana. His burning faith, devotion, and power to convince people made him an ideal preacher. Thank you.
I want to try something then. Stop. Okay. Then one person she can go to tenants. When you've got two people, you can go to split. That's what that's the procedure.
O Lord, your words like sweet nectar refresh the afflicted. Your words, which poets have sung in verses, vanquish the sins of the worldly. Blessed are they who fear of you, and blessed indeed are they who speak of you. How great is their reward. Today we are starting a new chapter, chapter
If it's too complicated.
41, at Ram's house, Saturday, 23rd May 1885. And we heard from the Technology, Ramchandra Datta, is a very close devotee of Sri Ramakrishna. He, because
give you permission to
he was with modern education, he was educated as a doctor. So there's no faith in God. He was an atheist. But then family calamities forced him to change his ideas, and he was searching for somebody who would teach, who would talk about God or give him some direction. And hearing about Sri Ramakrishna's saints, lectures and articles, he came to see Sri Ramakrishna. And quite interesting. How he became so close to Sri Ramakrishna. It was first he had in a dream, he had got a mantra, and he asked Sri Ramakrishna to help him. And Sri Ramakrishna, first he said, you chant the name of God and everything. And then one day, when he again and again came and said, what can I do for you? You do yourself. I don't have anything to do for you. I don't have to do anything for you. He was heartbroken. And then he said, first he thought, oh, what's the point? Let me commit suicide. He's not going to help me. Then he thought, why? Let me try to repeat the mantra I got in the dream. And then it's just in front of Sri Ramakrishna's room. He was lying down there and repeating the mantra. Then suddenly Sri Ramakrishna came out of the room and gave him some advice. He was so happy. And then slowly, he became so close to Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna used to say, those who serve the devotees serve me. So if you serve the devotees of God, you are serving God. And Sri Ramakrishna used to ask the devotees, householders, to invite Sri Ramakrishna and the devotees and organize a satsang, what we call. So Sri Ramakrishna will go, and then there will be other devotees will be there talking. Sometimes they will organize a musician to sing devotional songs. But it's expensive. You are hosting them, you have to feed them, and getting a musician and accompaniments, everything, it's expensive. And Ram was very miserly. He was not ready to do. He hesitated. When Sri Ramakrishna said, why don't we have a meeting in your house? He was not very happy. He just kept quiet. But then suddenly Sri Ramakrishna said, oh, I'm going to come to your place on such and such a day. He fixed a date. So there is no escape. Ram had to do. And he had to invite at least a few devotees. But when it happened, actually, it was on 2nd June 1883. He felt so blessed. He was so happy, he felt so blessed that after that, every year, that particular day, 2nd June, he used to celebrate. That's the anniversary of Sri Ramakrishna's coming to my house. And then, well, in the city, houses are not so far away, close by. And then there is loud music. Naturally, the neighbors start complaining, just like what we have here, complain. And then Sri Ramakrishna said, why don't you, what Ram did was, he bought outside on the outskirts, he bought a big garden house with a big land and a house. And Sri Ramakrishna was very happy to hear about that, and he said, I'll come. So he visited there. It was on the same year, December 26, 1883. That was another blessed day for Ramchandra Datta. And he looked around, Sri Ramakrishna walked around. Oh, it's a beautiful place for meditation. A lot of trees are there. There's a pond, pond there, what they call dam. So Ram gave, because Sri Ramakrishna said it's a place is very good for meditation, he gave the name, Ramchandra Datta gave the name Yogodhyan. So it's a place called Kakurgasi. Now it's under Ramakrishna Mission. It's a very sacred place. Sri Ramakrishna has visited there. You can go there and see where the pond where Sri Ramakrishna washed his hand, the place where Sri Ramakrishna sat, all those things are there. And it is there that part of the relics of Sri Ramakrishna was installed, and Ram started the worship there. So this is in 85. Sri Ramakrishna was sitting in the drawing room on the ground floor of Ram's house. This is not in the Kakurgasi Yogadhan, but at his house. He was surrounded by devotees and was conversing with them. So what happens is, all the devotees cannot go to Dakshineshwar. And many of them, these people are working. They have to go to office. They have to go to whatever business they have to do.
So when Sri Ramakrishna came to Calcutta, to any of the devotees' house, all the others are informed and they all will come. Even for a short time, they will come and spend with Sri Ramakrishna. So here, this is Saturday, so holiday, there many devotees have come. He was surrounded by devotees and was conversing with them. Mahima sat in front of him, Mahimacharan. Yam to his left. Paltu, Bhavanath, Nityagopal, Haramohan, and a few others sat around him. It was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The master inquired after several devotees, some of them who haven't come so far. So Sri Ramakrishna is asking Yam, hasn't younger Naren arrived yet? Presently, younger Naren entered the room. Master, what about him? Yam, who, sir? Kishori? Isn't Girish Ghosh coming? What about Narendra? All those people who haven't come, he is asking. A few minutes later, Narendra arrived and saluted Sri Ramakrishna. Master to the devotees, it would be fine if Kedar were here. He agrees with Girish. Girish Chandra Ghosh says, has got the great faith that Sri Ramakrishna is an incarnation of God. And Kedar also has got that faith. So that's why he's saying, it will be good if Kedar was here. To Mahima, he says the same thing. Ram had arranged the kirtan, devotional singing. With folded hands, the musician said to Sri Ramakrishna, Sir, I can begin if you give the order. If you say, then I can start the music. The master drank some water and chewed spices from a small bag. He asked Yam to close the bag. The musician started the kirtan. As Sri Ramakrishna heard the sound of the drum, he went into an ecstatic mood. Along with singing, vocal, there is also the tabla or the drum is there. And as the moment it started, he went in an ecstatic mood. While listening to the prelude of the kirtan, he plunged into deep samadhi. He placed his legs on the lap of Nitya Gopal, who was sitting near him. The devotee too, that is Nitya Gopal, was in an ecstatic mood. The other devotees looked on intently. Regaining partial consciousness, Sri Ramakrishna said, from Nitya to Leela and from Leela to Nitya Gopal. What do you see? What is your ideal? Nitya Gopal. Both are good. Nitya and see, Sri Ramakrishna is saying from Nitya to Leela and from Leela to Nitya. What is Nitya and Leela? Nitya is the absolute, formless, nameless, unchanging reality, what we call Brahman. And then Leela is the with form, Saguna Brahman, and but also God's play. When we ask, why did God create the world? We do something, some action, because there is a desire for something. Either to fulfill the desire or to get something, to avoid losing something, we do. So always there is a desire behind every act. If you look at why do things, always you can see there is a desire. So what did God wanted? Why did he create? Did he have some desire? Was he lacking something that he wanted to fulfill his desire? Or was he trying to avoid something? No, they say it was just a play. God, it was just as a play God created. If we look at little children, they do something, they play, and they play with mud or sand, they build castles. Straight after some time, they break it. Why? What's the reason? Just play. It's just for the fun. So God created, or God's creation is just a play of God. That's why they call it Leela. To understand how it happened, or understand the reality, first we have to understand Nitya, the unchanging, immutable reality, which is the basis of the changing universe. Only then can we understand the creation, the universe, and the Leela. To understand Leela, we have to understand Nitya. Without understanding Nitya, we cannot understand Leela. And and until we understand cannot understand the real nature of the universe until understand the unchanging reality behind. To give an example, you see you are traveling along the highway. You see everything moving fast. When we look out, we see the buildings, trees, paddocks, all moving away. And we think we are stationary, but that is stationary and the vehicle is moving. And how can you understand it is moving? Because there is something which is not moving. Actually, the things on the side of the road are not moving. They're stationary for the time being. Where compared to vehicle, that's stationary. So only when there is something stationary can we understand motion. Only there is a unchanging, immovable, motionless reality is there. Then comparing with that, we can understand the changing, moving, the world, creation. That is Leela. From Nitya to Leela and from Leela to Nitya. In the traditional Vedantis, Advaitis, for them, only Nitya is the true thing. It's the highest realization. That's the only correct thing. Because as far as they're concerned, the world is illusory. The world is unreal. So it has no reality. But for the devotees, people who follow the path of devotion, for them, Leela is the real thing. So they will say, oh, Leela is the highest goal of spiritual life. And the Advaitis will say, Nitya is the highest goal. And the other things everything is secondary. But Sri Ramakrishna, for Sri Ramakrishna, both are good. He never said this is higher or this is lower. No, both are good. His mind moved from one stage to another. For some time, he may be in the highest state, absorbed in deep samadhi, and then he comes down, his mind comes down, he engages with singing, dancing. That's what he's saying. From Nitya to Leela, from Leela to Nitya. Nitya Gopal, both are good. Sri Ramakrishna closed his eyes and said, is it only this? Does God exist only when the eyes are closed and cease to exist when the eyes are open? We all we close our eyes and try to meditate. So does it mean that you can think about God only when your eyes are closed? What is the idea of closing the eyes? When we try to think about God, why do we close the eyes? To cut off a lot of the distraction. Because when eyes are open, we look at all the different things. So to cut off the distraction from the external world, we close the eyes. But that doesn't mean that when you open the eyes, we don't see God. What Sri Ramakrishna is saying is, you close your eyes and imagine or visualize God within you. When you open the eyes, see God outside. The whole universe is nothing but God. So try to see that. When you with open eyes, you see God everywhere. Does God exist only when the eyes are closed and cease to exist when the eyes are open? He often says, people talking about the Brahma Samaj meditation, he used to say, they sit with eyes closed. Does it mean that God is not there when the eyes are open? For Sri Ramakrishna, everything is God. So he seeing God inside, outside, everywhere. Leela belongs to him the Nitya belongs. And Nitya belongs to him to whom the Leela belongs. Both are the same, only just like the snake, coiled up snake moving, or the water of the ocean, still or in waves, both are the same. Mahima, I have a question to ask, sir. A lover of God needs nirvana sometime or other, doesn't he? A lover of God needs nirvana sometime or other, doesn't he? Now, lover of God means devotion, path of devotion. Nirvana, path of knowledge. There is no God. So now Mahima's question is, because he is a intellectual, but he thinks he is a jnani, follower of path of knowledge. So for him, Brahman alone is a reality, and that's why he's talking about nirvana. His idea is, even if you follow the path of devotion, you love God, you realize God, but then you have to go still higher and go to the absolute reality, formless aspect. That's his asking. Master, it can't be said that bhaktas need nirvana. Not that devotees, the path, those who are following the path of devotion, they need nirvana. According to some schools, there is an eternal Krishna and there are also his eternal devotees. There are different schools of philosophy are there. Even in devotional schools, there are different schools are there. So according to one school, there's an eternal God. Krishna is eternal God and eternal devotees. God is there and devotees also are there eternally. We often say Ramakrishna Loka is there. When we die, we'll go to Sri Ramakrishna's abode of Sri Ramakrishna. And there we'll be staying with all the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna with Sri Ramakrishna. It's all our ideas, just somehow or other to keep the mind on God. But we say all these things. So they are saying like that. There's an eternal Krishna. Krishna is there. If you look at as Krishna as a human being, he has left his body. But the spirit, the ideal is there. The Krishna is there, eternal Krishna, and there are also his eternal devotees. Krishna is spirit embodied, and his abode also is spirit embodied. It's not a human form or human being, or the devotees are also human beings. No, it's all talking about spirit, consciousness, pure consciousness. Krishna is eternal, devotees are also eternal. Krishna and the devotees are like moon and the stars, always near each other. You yourself repeat, what need is there of penance if God is seen within and without? That is one of the favorite hymn of Mahima Charan. And we can see in the Gospel, Sri Ramakrishna asked him to repeat that often. And this goes that, what is the need of penance if we can see God inside and outside? And what is the use of penance if you don't see God inside and outside? The whole idea is you have to see God inside and outside, everywhere. So you are saying, you sing that hymn, what's the need of penance if God is seen within and without? So you are seeing Krishna, the eternal God is there. Further, I have told you that devotees who is born with an element of Vishnu cannot altogether get rid of bhakti. Sri Ramakrishna says that some people are born with the element of Vishnu, and they always have the attitude of devotion to God. They always follow the path of devotion. And there are some others who are born with the element of Shiva, and they follow the path of knowledge. So those people who are born with the element of Vishnu in them, they will always have the path of, they will be always holding on to the idea of God separate from me. No, they don't want nirvana, those people, such people. Once I fell into the clutches of a jnani. It's funny. Sri Ramakrishna is talking about Totapuri, who initiated him into Advaita, into sannyasa and the Advaita philosophy. So he's saying, once I fell into the clutches of a jnani, who made me listen to Vedanta for 11 months. But he couldn't altogether destroy the seed of bhakti in me. No matter where my mind wandered, it would come back to the Divine Mother. See, when those who have read the life of Sri Ramakrishna know how when Totapuri was asking him to meditate on the formless aspect, concentrate your mind and meditate on the formless aspect. Concentrating the mind is no problem for Sri Ramakrishna. The moment he sat down and closed his eyes, the mind concentrated. But then what happened? The form of Divine Mother Kali came. Now here he's supposed to go beyond forms, name and form, and think about or meditate on the formless aspect. But Mother Kali, she refuses to go. He tried several times and then he told Totapuri, it's hopeless. No, nothing working. Then Totapuri said, what? You can't? You must. He looked around, found a piece of broken glass, picked it up and pressed it between his eyebrows and said, concentrate on that. And then Sri Ramakrishna describes, again he concentrated on that pain. He pricked it to the glass, so it's paining on that spot. And again the Divine Mother Kali's form came. But this time he says, using knowledge as a sword, he cut the form into two. Form disappeared, then the mind just went up into the absolute. And he went into deep samadhi. He remained in that stage for 3 days. But then afterwards, he says, always he had the devotion to Mother. Though he experienced Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the formless aspect, and remained in that state for 3 days. Totapuri had worked for 40 years to attain that stage. And here Sri Ramakrishna immediately and remained absorbed in that for 3 days. And Totapuri had to try his best to bring the mind down. He had to chant, went on chanting Om for a long time. Only then slowly Sri Ramakrishna's mind came down to normal consciousness. No matter where my mind wandered, it would come back to Divine Mother. Whenever I sang of her, Nangta would weep and say, oh, what is this? You see, he was such a great jnani, still he wept. Once Sri Ramakrishna was singing the name of Mother Kali with clapping his hands. And Totapuri is a jnani following the path of knowledge. He doesn't believe in God, forms of God. So he made fun. Oh, are you making chapatis? Because he was clapping like this. And Sri Ramakrishna said, what? I'm singing the name of God and you're making chapatis. But then Totapuri had to accept Divine Mother. See, he was a wandering monk. He never stayed in any place more than 3 days. Because they say, you stay there for a long time, you get attached to the place and people there. So these wandering monks kept on moving from one place to another. When he came first to Dakshineshwar, he said, if you want, I can teach you Advaita, but I won't stay long. So he was planning to stay for 3 days. And actually he stayed there for 11 months. Somehow or other, every time he wanted to go, something will change and Sri Ramakrishna will ask or something happened. He stayed back for 11 months. And the water, air of Calcutta or Bengal, he destroyed his robust constitution. He had a very He is from Punjab, with strong constitution, but he had stomach problem, diarrhea. Such severe pain, he tried to meditate. They gave a lot of treatment. Madhur Babu got lot medicine and everything, treatment, nothing is happening. And Todapuri tried to meditate. He, a person who has experienced Nirvikalpa Samadhi, trying to meditate, the pain is pulling him back, his mind. Then what about all us people? But often we use the pain as an excuse also. That's another thing. But in the end, he got really disgusted. What? This body is not allowing me to meditate on Brahman. Get off with it. What's the point of this body now? I don't need this body anymore. So he thought of giving up the body. He got into the Ganges and drowned himself. That's the idea. He walked and walked and walked and almost reached the other shore. But there was not enough water could not get above his waist. Well, how can you drown himself? Then suddenly he had in a flash, some realization. It's all the play of Divine Mother. As though a veil was removed. And then he came back to Sri Ramakrishna. He came back to Dakshineshwar Kali temple. And then the next morning, when Sri Ramakrishna came to him, he found a changed man. What happened? So he said this, what happened. Then he went with Sri Ramakrishna to the Kali temple and saluted Divine Mother Kali. Till then he hadn't gone because what idols? There's no God or anything. Then he realized that's why he was kept there for 11 years. 11 months. He had to learn this. His knowledge was only partial, only absolute, non-duality he had realized. Now he hadn't realized the path of devotion. Now he had to learn that. Only then you complete, the knowledge will be complete, the wisdom will be complete. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said. Both Leela and Nitya. Once the seed of bhakti is sown, the effect is inevitable. It will gradually grow into a tree with flowers and fruits. So once you have the seed of devotion to God, devotion to higher ideas, you put the seed, it will grow, it will sprout. That is why sometimes parents say, oh, we brought our children when they were young, but now they are not interested. They don't show any interest. Doesn't matter, you have put the seed. In time, when they need, it will come up. So all we have to do is give the seed, give the ideas when they are young. It will come up when it is time. That when it is the conditions are proper, the seed will sprout and then it will grow into a tree giving fruits and flowers. You may reason and argue 1,000 times, but if you have the seed of bhakti within you, you will surely come back to God. Reason means reason out, arguing, debating. That's following the path of knowledge. But if you have the seed of devotion, you'll come back to God. Do you know my attitude? I accept both the Nitya and the Leela. Doesn't God exist if one looks around with eyes open? After realizing him, one knows that he is both the absolute and the universe. It is he who is the indivisible Satchidananda. Again, it is he who has become the universe and its living beings. After realizing God, once you reach the top, you can see, as the example Sri Ramakrishna gives, once you reach the roof, you realize the roof is made of the same material as the staircase, steps. Both are same. Once you realize God, once you realize the absolute, then you realize you understand or you come to know that The world is the same as that absolute. There's no difference. You see with God with when you sit with eyes closed or with your eyes open. One needs sadhana, spiritual practices. Mere study of scriptures will not do. I noticed that though Vidyasagar had no doubt read a great deal, he had not realized what was inside him. He was satisfied with helping boys get their education, but he had not tasted the bliss of God. What will mere study accomplish? How little one assimilates? See, mere study of scriptures will not do. We study the scriptures, study all the scriptures, and you become a great scholar. You can speak about spiritual matters. But unless you practice them, nothing, no realization comes. It has to become part of you. You have assimilated it. It remains separate from you. What about all the scholars that we have? All the philosophers. In India, philosophy means it's part of religion. They all, and the philosophers, the philosophy professors, they all have to study the Upanishads and all the scriptures. But look at their lives. How many are progressing on a spiritual path? It has to become part and parcel of them. It remains intellectual knowledge. Then Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of Ishwaran Vidyasagar, the great philanthropist, whom Sri Ramakrishna has visited in the beginning of the gospel. You can see Vidyasagar had started, he's a great educationist, and M was a teacher in one of the schools of Vidyasagar. That's how Sri Ramakrishna went to see him. And after seeing Vidyasagar, Sri Ramakrishna made this comment. He hasn't realized what is within him. Gold is hidden within him. He hasn't seen it. He is helping. That's good. But there is more. He had not, Vidyasagar had no doubt read a great deal. He has studied a lot of scriptures. That's why he's called Vidya. He was given the title Vidyasagar, the ocean of knowledge. Not just a little bit of knowledge. He's an ocean of knowledge. But he had not realized what was inside him. He was satisfied with helping boys get their education. He is giving education. That's good. But he had not tasted the bliss of God. What will mere study accomplish? How little one assimilates. You have to assimilate. Hearing all these things is not enough. It has to become part and parcel of us. For that, we have to practice, do the practice. Unless we practice, nothing will happen. It will remain separate. It will be just intellectual knowledge, like any other physical knowledge. Mahima. We have so many duties in the world. There is a time for sadhana. That is the common excuse for everybody. We have got so many duties. True. But where's the time for sadhana? That is an excuse. Duties are there. That does not mean that you won't get time. You will get time if you want to. If there is priorities are there, and when they say do sadhana, that doesn't mean that give up every other duty and do. No. In and through that, you can do that. Where's the time for sadhana? Master, why should you say such a thing? It is you who describe the world as illusory, like a dream. Because Mahamajaran is following the path of knowledge. He always used to say the world is like a dream. It's not real. So why do you think that you have got so much duty? Your duty is also a dream. If you think the world is dream, then your duties are also dream. How can you have a dream world and real duties? If the world is dream, the duties are also dream. So he gives an example. Rama and Lakshmana wanted to go to Ceylon. That is from to fight with Ravana. but the ocean was before them. Now, how to cross the ocean between India and Sri Lanka? Lakshmana was angry. Taking his bow and arrow, he said, I shall kill Varuna. Varuna is the god of the oceans. This ocean prevents our going to Ceylon. Rama explained the matter to him, saying, Lakshmana, all that you are seeing is unreal, like a dream. The ocean is unreal. Your anger is also unreal. It is equally unreal to think of destroying one unreal thing by means of another. So if you are following the path of knowledge, and if you say the world is unreal, then your duties are also unreal. So why do you say then duties are there, I can do, there is no time for sadhana? You have to take the whole thing. You cannot say the world is unreal and, oh, I have got all the duties to do. No, half unreal and half real. No, it doesn't happen. It cannot be. Yeah, you should be consistent. Mahima kept quiet. He had many duties in the world. M is saying, it's M's comment. He had many duties in the world. He had lately started a school to help others. So he has more work. He is bringing on his own work. He is bringing work. Not that nobody is making, he is starting the school to help others. So Sri Ramakrishna is saying, Master to Mahima, Shambhu once said to me, I have some money. It is my desire to spend it for good works, for schools and dispensaries, roads and so forth. You have to remember, India is not like, or was not like, what is it called? Government helping the society. What's the term for that? Welfare society. So the rich people help the others, building schools, hospitals, making roads where the roads are not there, digging wells, to help the villagers and the people in those who cannot afford to all these things. So Shambhu Malik was a very rich person. He had a lot of money. So he said, I would like to use my money for this good purpose. So Sri Ramakrishna said, I said to him, it will be good if we can do these works in a selfless spirit. But it's extremely difficult to perform unselfish action. Desire for fruit comes from nobody knows where. Let me ask you something. That is what he said to Shambhu. Let me ask you something. Suppose God appears before you. Will you pray to him then for such things as schools and dispensaries and hospitals? Suppose God comes to you and asks, what do you want? What will you ask? Will you ask for devotion, knowledge, or will you ask, oh, let me please build some hospitals and dispensaries? Sri Ramakrishna says, that's like asking, taking great trouble and getting an audience with the king, and then ask, can I have few eggplants and a few pumpkins? When you ask God, ask the king, you ask for great things. When you ask God, ask for the highest thing, devotion, knowledge, freedom. You are asking for building, I want to bring hospitals and roads. Sri Ramakrishna is not saying that it's not good, it's not bad. It's not bad to build schools, hospitals to help people. No. The thing what he's saying is, it should be done in a selfless manner. But what happens usually is, you do all these good things and the desire for name and fame comes. That's the trouble. I have done so much. So I expect thanks from the society. I expect all those people who benefit to say, oh, so and so, Shambhu was such a great person. He did so much. I expect that. That is the wrong. That's the downside of that. If we can do it in a selfless spirit, it's very good. It will be good if we can do these works in a selfless spirit. But it is extremely difficult to perform selfless, unselfish action. We find that all the time. We do, say, suppose you help somebody and the person just accepts the help, then what is our comment? I did so much. Didn't even bother to say thank you. Just took it for granted. We all expect. And so performing unselfish action is very difficult. It takes a lot of practice, lot of spiritual practice and devotion to God, then it will help. So without just thinking that doing good is good. But that's not the end, because desire for name and fame comes. Or after some time, the feeling comes to me, what have I gained? I did all this social service. What did I gain? What has happened to me? Nothing. Now I am old, I am tired, my money is finished, I don't have energy. There's nobody to look after me. So it again comes back to me, I, the ego. So the unselfish action, ego removes. But if you do these things with the idea of expectation, the ego remains. Nothing has happened to you. The ego has not gone. That is why Sri Ramakrishna says doing unselfish action is very difficult. Desire for fruits comes from nobody knows where. A devotee. Sir, what's a way for worldly people? So if it is so difficult to perform unselfish action, so what are we to do? Worldly people. Master, the company of holy men. Worldly people should listen to spiritual talk. They are in a state of madness, intoxicated with woman and gold. A worldly person should also receive instruction from a Sadguru, a real teacher. Such a teacher has certain signs. You should hear about Benares only from a man who had been to Benares and seen it. Mere book learning will not do. One should not receive instruction from a Pandit who has not realized the world to be unreal. Only if a Pandit has discrimination and renunciation is he entitled to instruct. Samadhyaya remarked, Samadhyaya is a scholar, remarked that God is dry. Think of his speaking like that of him who is the embodiment of sweetness. It sounds like the remark, my uncle's cowshed is full of horses. All laugh. So what's the way for worldly people? People in the world who has got so many duties, family to look after, the obligation to society. So Sri Ramakrishna says, the company of holy men. Now, who is a holy person? A person, we can say a person is a holy person in whose presence our mind naturally tends towards God. If going to a person and dressed like a holy person, or wearing ochre clothes or matted hair, Rudraksha beads, that's our traditional idea of a holy person. But if your mind is not feeling, you're not feeling any attraction towards God, then you have to doubt how much holiness that person has. But just like in any other person, no outward marks, but in that person's company, in that person's presence, if our mind is moving to thinking about God, of higher things, you should know that person is a holy person. That's the sign. That is the test of a holy person. That's how Swami Shivananda describes. How do you find a holy person? Your mind naturally goes, in that person's company, your mind naturally turns towards God. Worldly people should listen to spiritual talk. Listening means not just listening. Afterwards, think about it. Now we listen to so many spiritual talks. It's no problem. Everything is on the YouTube, on the internet. You are always listening. Everybody is on the phone listening to talks. But afterwards, are you thinking about it? Shravanam, listening is the first step. But we are on the first step for the whole life, not going to the second stage, mananam. Think about it. Think deeply about what you are hearing. Hearing or reading, both are same. Reading is better, but think about it. Shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana, the 3 steps are there. The first step is not enough. But that's a beginning, of course. So, worldly people should listen to spiritual talk. So, then, from whom should we take instructions on spiritual instruction? A worldly person should also receive instruction from a Sadguru, a real teacher. Who is a real teacher? We always talk on Guru Purnima, you always talk about a real teacher. Who is a real teacher? Shankaracharya gives certain qualifications. Should know the spirit of the scriptures, should be without any selfish motive. The instructions are given just out of pure compassion for the welfare of the student. No selfish motive. Must be a knower of Brahman. But such teachers are very hard to get. But at least the person should be on the path of towards God. Such a teacher has certain signs. You should hear about Benares only from a man who has been to Benares and seen it. A person who has been to Benares can tell confidently, these are the places to visit, these are the stories related to these places, and what are the things to be avoid there. All that person who has been to a place can tell you. Reading about it is like reading a guidebook. Reading about Benares or reading about London. You don't understand anything. A person who had been to London can say, oh, these are the things to see there. These are the things, this is the best good place to stay. Can give it, all the instruction can be given. A guru, a teacher who has realized God will be able to guide us properly. Mere book learning will not do. They'll make a scholar. Swami Vivekananda says, scriptural study is not a guarantee for spiritual progress. They learned a lot of scholars. There is no relative or what to say, similar or equivalent progress on the spiritual path just because you have studied scriptures. You have to do practice. One should not receive instruction from a Pandit who has not realized the world to be unreal. The Sri Ramakrishna gives a story. A Pandit used to read the Bhagavatam to the king every day. At the end of the reading, the session, he will ask, King, have you understood? Then king will reply, first you understand. The Pandit was not just a mere scholar, he was a little bit spiritually minded also. So he used to wonder, why did the king say that? Day after day, he used to think like this, why did the king ask me to, first you understand? Of course I understand Bhagavatam, that's why I'm explaining to the king. Then one day suddenly he realized, it is not just understanding, it is realizing. So to realize God, then he realized that to realize God, we have to fully dedicate to spiritual practices. And so he sent a message to the king, and then left to do his spiritual practice, left the world. Send the message to king. Now I have understood. And another story, Sri Ramakrishna says, a pandit, see, one should receive instruction from a pandit who has not realized the world to be unreal. Another one, the same thing. The pandit was giving instruction to the king and reading the Bhagavatam. That's his traditional one. And the king said, King Parikshit heard the Bhagavatam for 7 days and realized God. And you have been explaining this, but nothing has happened to me. Why? Now, the kings have this idea. Now, if you don't give the answer within a week, next day or 1 month, your head is off. So that is the ultimatum given to this scholar also. He was so worried. And when he came, he started worrying, why? How can I make the king understand? King Parikshit realized God in 7 days, because he had only 7 days life. That's when he was given the teachings of Bhagavatam by sage Shuka. Now, this scholar had been explaining Bhagavatam to the king for months together. Nothing has happened. The scholar was so worried. He came home so worried. So his young daughter asked, what's the matter? The young girl. So he said, don't worry, father. Tomorrow, next you go to the court, I'll come. I'll give you the answer to the king. So next day he went, or when he was supposed to go, he went. He took the girl also. So the king asked, have you got the answer? My daughter will give the answer. Oh, very good. Now the girl came forward. Now, please ask your soldiers to bind me to this pillar and yourself to that pillar. So the king said, come and bind. So binding the girl is no problem. The soldier came forward and bound the child the pillar. The king said, you bind me also. So the king also was bound to another pillar. And then the girl started screaming, oh, king, please release me, please release me. The king said, how can I release you? I am bound here. That's the answer. My father is bound. He is bound to the world. How can he release you? King Parikshit was released because Shuka was an enlightened soul. He was a free person. He realized he was eternally free. He was free, so he could free King Parikshit. My father is bound. How can he free you? So that's why Sri Ramakrishna says, you should hear from a scholar who has realized the world to be unreal. If you think the world is real, and then you imagine as far as you are concerned, the world is real, and then you tell others teach others the world is unreal, doesn't work that way. So there's in one of the prayers that we say, let the free make others free. First, you have to become free. Only then can you make others free. You are bound. How can you help other person to be free? And he says, Samadhyai is a great scholar, said, God is dry. Think of him. He's speaking like that of him who is the embodiment of sweetness. So Samadhyai said, another place, to the audience, he's saying, with your love and devotion, you should make God sweet, who is the embodiment of sweetness. So he gives it. It sounds like my uncle's cowshed is full of horses. Then the comment is, nobody keeps horses in cowshed. Then one of the young devotees said, maybe he didn't have even cows. already 12 o'clock, we can't go anything more. Thank you.
Please note the yoga class recommences this Thursday morning from 10 to 11:15 a.m. The spiritual evening discussion will be held on Friday night, led by Gayatriprana. And next Sunday, Sri Dharapanaji will continue her series of talks on the 4 yogas, and it will be on Karma Yoga, part one of 2 talks on Karma Yoga. Now we're going to conclude with a guided meditation, which I'll conduct. So I'll just set up for a few minutes.